Mark, I appreciate you coming on this morning with me. We've got Mark Charlton from Tennessee. Mark owns a commercial cleaning business, 360 Clean franchise in the Nashville, Bell Buckle, Tennessee area. So I just wanted to bring Mark on. And Mark, kind of open up with what inspired you to become a business owner. What was kind of the purpose or the why originally?
What I was looking for originally was just retirement income. If you're working for somebody, what you've got your 401k. And I had a little 401k, and as I got closer to retirement, I started thinking, that's not going to be as much money as I'd like to have. And so looked into businesses and said, what's something I could do that would create some income, almost a passive income, through my retirement, so that we wouldn't be limited in what we're able to do. Is I got ready to retire.
Right. It's so interesting you say that. When I first started 360 Clean, the first one, it was just to keep Allison at home with our youngest daughter, and that was kind of the goal. I was going to keep my job in pharmaceuticals, and that was kind of the why, the purpose. And then all of a sudden, it became much bigger. So yeah, it can definitely, things change for sure.
Well, and that's kind of what happened to us. It was the opposite for me, as my wife was working for the ABC affiliate in Nashville, had for quite a while, and was up in management there. And then as the business grew, it was last December, we were on a little trip down to Florida, and she was hating it, and she got an email from the general manager, and we talked about it and decided, it's good enough, you can come join the company. And so we had the opposite thing. She was keeping her job, and now it's like, well, we're both in the business. So flexibility is good.
Absolutely. Well, walk us, when you start a business, and I think I was telling someone yesterday that I think social media has skewed what it truly means to be a business owner, because so much of what you see on social media is about people's success and kind of the end game, where they are, they're selling their business and all this glamour and glitz. But what they don't show you a lot of times is that first year, those first 2 years. Kind of walk us through maybe your first year as a business owner. Was there any surprises, or was there anything that kind of took you by surprise, I guess I should say?
Yes. We bought our franchise in December of 2019. Trained in January of 2020, and a couple of months later, we were hit with COVID.
Right.
And I got to tell you, it was terrible. I mean, it was great. Some ways there were people that said, "Hey, please come, get our business disinfected." But the other part was the labor force disappeared.
Absolutely.
I think across the country, people experienced that. And what I would say is you have to be flexible, and you have to be prepared for misery, because there are days this is the greatest thing I've ever done, and then there are other days where you're going to say, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. And if you're not prepared for that, don't go into it. And I'll tell you, one of the things I did before I ever started my first business was I ran a marathon. And I did it because I wanted to prove myself that I wouldn't quit. And if you look at businesses, how many of them fail in the first year, the first 2 years? You've got to be able to adapt and change. If you're not willing to do that, I don't know that you can make it, because there's not a formula.
There's not. And that's such a good analogy. You talk about a marathon, because you look at anyone who's been in business. I mean, we've been in business for 20 years, and it's still a marathon. And, I don't even feel like at this point I've made it to the halfway point, because it's, and I think too, it's definitely it's not a sprint. So many people think that they're going to just get in here and just take off. There's things today that 20 years later, I wish I knew. And one is being more focused on purpose and having people around us more focused on purpose. But there's so many things you learn along the way. But yeah, you're right. The resilience you have to have. And that kind of leads me to, when you do go through those times, there's nothing more important than remembering why you got in this business. And as you said earlier, something kind of sparked something in my mind was that I always tell people the last reason you want to get into business for yourself is because you don't want to work for somebody else, because you're always going to be working for somebody else. If you've got a boss right now and you want to leave because you don't like working for somebody else, well, guess what? You open a business, you're going to have 50 customers or whatever it is. Well, guess what? You got 50 bosses with 50 personalities. So, and they're all writing you a different check. So that's definitely not a good reason to get out of business or get out of a job and get into your own business. So Mark, purpose-powered entrepreneurship. That's something I'm talking a lot about now because I feel like it's so important. And I know you have obviously a strong faith and different things in your life that have led you there. What does purpose-powered entrepreneurship mean to you? And I know I didn't set you up for this. I didn't ask you yesterday that I tell you yesterday that this was going to be on here today and we were going to talk about this. But what top of mind where you are in life what does come top of head come purpose-powered entrepreneurship? What does that mean to you?
For me, the beauty in all this is I wanted to be able to have options with my life. I'm old enough now to stay away from drama. And I hate to kind of disagree, but I am going to disagree with you a little bit. I told you earlier, I have a reputation that I will fire a customer.
Right.
I don't have to put up with certain things.
Right.
And having the business allows me to do that. Because in my mind's eye is, I didn't have this customer before I started this business, and I still had a business.
Right.
And I think it's my attitude with everybody. I want to be around people that I enjoy being around. Sure. I want to be respected and treated well. Mm-hmm. And if you don't treat my people well, right. I don't want you as a customer. Right. And you can't do that from a job. You can't walk away, but right. I can walk away from a customer. It gives me power. So the purpose for me was just I wanted to be able to have a life where I had a lot of freedom. Now again, I say that I have freedom, but at the same time, I'm also limited tremendously.
Right.
And that changes as you grow. But there are certain things that you're going to have to do as the business owner. And you have to be prepared for that.
Right.
In order for me to have the retirement that I wanted to have, in order for us to be able to travel the way I wanted to travel and do things, I knew there would be sacrifices.
Right.
And I think that's the lesson in this is that you have to be willing to sacrifice to get the things that I wanted.
Right.
I want to be able to pick up and if I want to go for a weekend to the beach, to be able to go, or not during the week. During the week, that's the beauty of it, not the weekend.
Right.
When we go to the beach, we like to go during the week when nobody's there.
Nobody's there. That's right. That's right. I think what you're saying, Mark, is perfect because your purpose and your why can be freedom. It can be flexibility, not just for your time, but for also who you're aligned with. It makes you it allows you to align your business with the people that you want to serve, whether it's the customers or the employees. You're not forced to be inside one little box, for sure.
Right. Yeah. I like my customer.
And if it doesn't, and like what you're saying, I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and the question they asked me was, business is about bottom line and profit. So how do you balance purpose and profits? And my answer was, hey, when you start having good profits, you got to make sure those profits stay aligned with your purpose. And then what you're saying is, hey, sometimes you might have to let go of some profit because it doesn't align with your life. It doesn't align with the lifestyle that you've built for yourself. And that's the freedom and that's the American dream, right?
Right. And that's, we looked at selling our farm just recently. Just took it off the market a week or two ago because we were thinking, I want to be totally out of debt. And then we started realizing, well, the business is up 25% this year.
Right.
We don't have to move.
Right.
So again, the options, it's the options that are given that I can,
Right.
because, and again, Alex, it's not the income, it's the outgo for
Yeah.
just about anybody.
Right.
I have to decide what are the things that are valuable in my life and what I'm willing to be able to drop.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing that, by having my own business, it allows me to drop certain things or to keep certain things. If I see my business has gone up, I'm like, you know what? Let's stay on the farm.
Right.
Let's do something else. We got other income we can choose. And if we decide again, hey, it's too much, we can lower our income. We can say, I don't want all these stressors.
Exactly.
Because it is not the bottom. It's not the bottom line.
Right.
It, my wife loves Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
She's flying out next month to go see L.A. and some things. And she said, "Who stars should I get?" And I said, "The only person you would really want to see is Robin Williams." And she goes, "You're right." And there's a line in the Poet Society where he's talking about that these guys are pursuing engineering and medicine and all this stuff so they can make money. But he says, poetry and love and these are the things we live for.
Exactly.
And I want to be the guy that takes a bite out of life,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
And
That's
that's what the business has allowed me to do. Now,
yeah.
the other part of it is I've taken some nasty bites in doing that.
Right. Sure.
Um,
You learn.
this has not been easy.
No.
Uh,
No, it's not. And I think too, I would guess that you aligning your business with the right customers and taking care of your employees from that standpoint, that purpose also has impact on your employees because they probably have so much more respect for you in that you're not, I mean, we always say the customer's always right. And they are and they aren't, but it's how they handle their right, if that makes sense. Because they are right and they have rights, but at the same time, sometimes they cross a line and maybe they don't handle their right how they should. And then obviously, like what you're saying, I think by you standing up for your employees, you're showing, hey, we're aligning with our purpose, and I'm going to make sure that respect is shown to you, just like I'm asking you to show respect to the customer as well.
right.
So I'm sure you see that as well. So what would you say? What advice would you give someone looking? I mean, you're in the commercial cleaning industry, so what advice would you give someone looking to open a commercial cleaning business, whether it's a franchise or not, or really any business? What advice would you give them about those first few years and getting your mind right and the mindset that relates to purpose and all those things?
Be ready to have the worst day of your life.
Right.
And the funny thing is it can be in the same week where you think, man, this is the greatest decision I've ever made. And 2 days later, you'd be saying, why in the world did I make this decision?
Right.
And I've told you that before I started my first business, the idea is I ran a marathon to prove that I wouldn't quit.
Right.
And I joined a running club. And one of the things there are a lot of sayings I picked up in the running club. And one of them is this, a good run and an easy run are not the same thing. You can have a good run and it be difficult.
Right.
You have an easy run and it not be good.
That's right.
If you're going to choose the good run, it's not going to be easy.
That's right.
It can be,
Such
but
a
the
great,
easy.
yeah.
So I've had a lot
Such a
of
great
good
way to
runs.
put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing about you, Mark, knowing you over the years is kind of brings me. I didn't think about this earlier, but it brings me to something that you always say when someone says, "Mark, how's your day going?" And what do you always say?
Greatest day of my life.
My life, yeah. Because you're seeing another one, right? I mean, you're seeing another one. You're stacking another good day, And that I think too is so impactful to, like what you were saying earlier about, when I just asked you that question and you said prepare for, an awful day or your worst day. Some franchisors like myself who are out here promoting a franchise to grow the network and so forth would be scared to put that or wouldn't want to put that out there. But I think we need to put that out there because I think we need to be real. I think we need to prepare folks that, hey, this is what you're getting into. Don't just come into any, and not just 360 Clean. If you're looking at a franchise, don't just go in and go, well, what's your average sales volume per franchise owner? Let me talk to the top 5 because I want to be in the top 5 and all that kind of stuff. That is the worst mistake because you're just looking at you're looking at a field of roses at that point. You're not looking at that field when it was just dirt. So I think you're dead on.
With me saying that, I don't know if you realize it, but I say that for me.
Right.
Because if I go into a convenience store and buy a cold drink and get to the counter and the person's going to say, how you doing today? And a lot of days I am not doing well.
Right.
But because I trained myself in that response, it's like greatest day of my life. And I say to myself, thanks for reminding me. Because you do forget that. I think that is purpose.
It is. Mind over matter, right? I was just walking the Ravenel Bridge here in Charleston with my daughter. She's 21, and we're going up the bridge. I try to do this since we moved in the condo right now. I try to do this daily, and it's one of those things that climb up is tough. And she's 21. She's 2 feet behind me complaining, and I'm sitting there trying to say mind over matter, and she is just she's not cussing me, but I know she's wanting to. But it is. I mean, you got to keep telling yourself that just take it in chunks, stack good days. But no, you're right. I mean, mind over matter. When like you said, I know when you're saying that every day can't be the best day, maybe mentally, but you're training yourself to certainly outweigh what's going on, for sure.
Right.
Well, Mark, what advice would you give someone, or I shouldn't say advice. What do you think is the single most thing, or what are the 2 things that you would say that people starting a business, and you've seen a lot of new business owners come into business, you've seen them their first year and so forth. What would you say is the thing that's most overlooked, besides that they better prepare for having bad days?
I think to me, the thing that I've learned, because this is not my first business, but
Sure.
what I did learn is find mentors.
Yeah.
I am not recreating the wheel in any business. There are other people who have done this. Find the people that are successful doing it.
Right.
And those people don't mind sharing with you. That's been the great thing about a franchise. I have a bid that I'm turning in later today that I've already talked to other people about. Hey, I've never done this before. What do you think from this perspective?
Absolutely.
And don't go alone. That would be it. Right. Don't be, I'm going in, I'm going to run a business and be it. Don't.
And then I think you carry that forward, like what you're saying. I mean, you've been doing this for several years. You carry that forward, even if you're the top performing, if you're in a franchise, even if you're the top performing franchise in that network, you still have stuff to learn. There are still people that are, halfway down the pack from you that are better at certain things than you are. Just like in any company. I mean, it's just because I own 360 Clean, I can assure you Martin and Tim, operation stuff, better than I have ever been and better than I will ever be, because that's not my specialty. I'm not the operations type person. So I think the same thing has to happen for business owners, is no matter how high you go, you got to stay a sponge, for sure.
Right. And the other part of this is you don't know what to expect. You have some expectations, but you better be prepared for other things.
Right.
Because they are going to happen. Again, when we started, it was COVID jumped in the first year. Who was expecting that? Who was expecting an economy where people could make more staying at home than they could working?
Tell you what, right?
And that changed for us almost overnight. uh, our labor went up basically almost 30% in that time period. And it was because, how do you prepare for that? Well, we weren't.
That's right. And it took time for those businesses to recognize that and to respect that, for the pricing to correlate to what had just happened, for sure.
And the
Without a
other
doubt.
part of that is what I talked about earlier about having mentors and other people you talk to is I was doing, we were doing group meetings with franchise owners. And and I can't tell you how many times the idea of finding labor and what finding what other people were doing to get labor and reaching into pools that we didn't think about.
Right.
And I've told you about my college roommate who worked for Voc Rehab and how they helped to train people who were had special needs, right?
Right.
And I was actually working one morning at a bowling alley before they opened, and they would bring in kids who had mental retardation issues. And I'm in there working in this bathroom. This kid comes in and says, "Are you the janitor?" And I said, "Well, yes." And he says, "I could be." And I thought to myself, yes, you could. And I
That's right.
bet you would be a good janitor. And we
That's right.
hired a special person that worked for us for a while. And it was, I'm going to tell you, 2 thumbs up. But it's something I would have
Absolutely.
never thought of. I never dreamed of starting my business.
Right.
But because we ran into difficulties, we've been able to do that. And that was,
Yeah.
again, that's listening to peers, paying attention to what other people do that's successful.
Absolutely. You're right. You're right. Well, Mark, let's end it with this question. How would you define success today? And has that changed over time? Let's just go back to maybe your 30s or whatever it may be. I know you're only 42, but just go back like 10 years. How has the word success? I mean, I know for me, just in the last 3 years, it's changed. And it's been a lot because of some of you guys associated with 360 Clean, in that I used to define success with our franchise owners as who was at the top. And I have been forced through some adversity to realize that there's a lot of success in the middle, and success can be defined in so many ways. And I think the worst thing anyone can do is try to define someone else's success without knowing what their purpose is and out their why is. Because if you're achieving what you want out of this and what your purpose is, guess what? You've achieved success. Whether you're break even or whether your bottom line is 40% of gross profit, whatever it may be. So not to steal your thunder, but how has that changed for you as you've matured over the years and grown as a business owner? Or has it changed?
It has changed, and I can give it to you in one line. There's a huge difference between net worth and self-worth.
Very true.
And I used to think my success was based upon net worth. But no, it's not. It's in my value as a person. And I love the life that I have because we're involved with the community.
Yeah.
I love to have friends to go laugh at. And I've told you, my mother just passed away, and she had a cabin on the back of the farm, and we've opened that up to friends to come up and stay.
Yeah.
It's friends, it's family, it's being involved in a community.
Yeah.
When we were looking at selling the farm, and my wife was like, "I don't want to move away from here because we have a community."
Yeah.
So again, there's a lot of self-worth, and if the business disappeared tomorrow, the community would still be there.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's great. The money allows me to be able to do more, and that's it.
That's right.
Again, I told you about getting rid of a customer. If I don't enjoy you and you don't enjoy me, I know we've got a contract, but let's not be miserable, right?
That's right.
Uh,
That's right.
be happy, and I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy my work, and if I don't enjoy it, goodness, there's other work to do.
That's exactly
Find
right.
joy and do it. Now, again, every day is not a joy. Every phone call is not great. Every email is not wonderful. But again, I've learned to work through the relationship with those people. And that's one of the things that you guys have talked about. And it really is. I'm not in the cleaning business. I'm in the people business.
You're right.
Anybody can clean, but I have relationships with customers, and they know. And this is what I tell the people that work for me. If your customer knows that you care about the cleanliness of their facility as much or more than they do, they're never going to fire you. And the other thing I tell them is, I want your relationship with your customer to be so that they would rather shoot their dog than fire you. And that's
right.
it.
That's it.
And again, how much did they pay me? How much? I have the second client I ever got, and you're going to laugh at me. She still pays me $182 a month. Now, again,
it aligns with your purpose, right? It aligns with what
she likes me. We get along great. She'll call me to come do something, and she's got me involved in other things in the community. I'm never going to raise her price. I'm never going to get rid of her because, again, it's not net worth; it's self worth. And I'll take my self worth any day over an extra $1 million. Any day.
Well, I think anybody that watches this video that's one of the big things they're going to take. I mean, that's a powerful phrase, self-worth over net worth, because that's not something you're going to see on social media like you do everything else these days. Mark, I appreciate you coming on with us, and we'll have you back again because we're going to go through other subjects as this moves along. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, because I can assure you, I think your experience is certainly going to get out there and will certainly, hopefully, like mine and anybody else, certainly help other people and put an effect on their life and their purpose. So
I enjoyed it too, and I want to let you know I wore this today. You know, I'm a Vanderbilt fan. This is not UT orange. This is Clemson orange.
Clemson, oh man, yeah, just for me, right? Exactly. So yeah, y'all just had a little situation with your UT and Vandy baseball game. They had a little scuttlebug, didn't they?
Yeah, but it's like somehow or another they don't really like each other.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
A good rivalry.
Well, Mark, I appreciate you coming on today.
Good to have